It's worth it. When one stands atop of the mountain of the is and can see all and never be held to the prison of the three lower levels again. The real side experience I recently had was with three other people who were supposedly business brokers in the affairs I had put together. These three, along with others like them, had either interfered or tried to take control of my projects and assist for their own selfish purposes. In the experience, all of us were lined up in front of a group of individuals sitting behind huge desks, and I could not quite make out their features. As we were all standing there, one of the rather faceless men behind the desk started asking questions. As he first talked to the person on my left, "What is your involvement with this project?" "Oh, I'm in it for the money, to get all I can get and live a great life of luxury for myself," said the man very smugly, as a set of chains appeared from the floor and cuffed him. Then the same faceless person asked the second person to my left, that happened to be a woman, "What about you? Why are you with this project of doings?" As this question was asked to her, I could tell she was very nervous and started to move about a little. But I could see that she could not stay more than a foot or two from where she had been placed. Then, reluctantly, she answered, "I want to help Dwayne with his humanitarian developments," she said, a bit nervously, as chains came onto her. Then she screamed, "Why do I get these chains? I'm a good person, and I do want to help." Not really, she didn't. At first, I did not recognize her, but as she began to speak, I knew immediately who she was. I had trusted this woman to be part of putting together a huge deal and transaction, but behind my back, she belittled me and tried to steal it for herself. Not only did she want the financial part, but she definitely wanted the personal glory of having it for herself only. It was more than obvious. The faceless person and the others knew the intent of each of us. Then he asked the third person standing to my immediate left, "And what is your involvement?" "I'm a friend of Dwayne's, and I bought other associates in to help get the funding for his projects," said the man. And as I recognized him right away from his manner of speech, then chains wrapped around his wrists and one around his neck. This person had been the most notorious of all. He tried to blackmail me with what I had accumulated and created. And then he tried to steal it for himself. It had taken me many years to go through and a lot of important lessons from the business world of men. I finally see what most people set as their price for living. These people, and there have been so many others, all had a price. And it was not about assisting me with what I'm doing here. Each one of these people were from the same mold, as I had sent each of them one of my new books. It read, but they never took the time to read my books because they were too busy thinking about how to steal what had been brought to them to share. But sharing was not on their agenda. Only having it all was, because they eliminated one by one as they were given a golden opportunity to work with the real guides and the new presentation. Each one of us makes a choice, and that becomes our road until we change directions. Then the man asked me, "What are you in all of this for?" "I'm here to provide as many avenues as possible to the humans to wake up to what is really taking place on Earth and to introduce them to the real guides. The funding and the humanitarian projects are only a part of what I'm willing to provide, as my real purpose is primarily real guidance and real education for those who will listen." I said, as I could feel myself lifting from the floor to where I could see the whole room, and then I went right through the ceiling and up into the sky. Does someone have something to say about this?
Well, I see the risk-taker position as one view would be facing the influence and being aware of the influence and facing the influence. Because most people comply with the influence. They just go along with what she or he, whatever you want to call it, is marketing them with. But those who are the real risk takers are willing to face, first of all, be aware that it exists and what they're dealing with, and then face it and be willing to be. Can you still hear me, Tim?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, be willing to take the risk to face it, because you may be sucked in again or destroyed by it, because this is its or her territory here in the creation world. So that's why some of the real guides have been destroyed, because they can, well, it's basically her territory, the psychic world. So she has control. The supreme deceptor, the Kalam God, has the control. The real guides can do things here, but then in a way they have to come down to that level, which they don't have to. So they're not really in creation. You could say their real awareness is with the is. So to do something is, a particular. And actually right now it is a particular where the world is in such a state, the real guides are doing something more so than ever in the history of creation. So they're doing something because the influence, the Kalam God, the supreme deceptor, and all their agents are interfering with people waking up. So they are doing more than they've ever done to offset that. And this makes for a really great adventure. I mean, nothing like this has ever happened before in creation with the New Wave Is, starting with the New Wave Is and what Dwayne's doing with his projects, worldwide projects, and with the help of the real guides who are backing him. It's truly a huge event here, what's potentially taking place here. And anybody can see this on the real side. But again, there has to be a foundation built to bring it forth here in the physical. and in the psychic worlds.
The real side experience showed me a lot, as I was very self-explanatory. My intent is actually beyond all the funding and the projects I want to do, but while I'm on Earth, just like what Reva and Paul have done, I want to help the people of the planet who have been stuck here for eons. Even from the days of Paul Twitchell, the Earth has changed so radically, and still most of the population of the world do not have the real understanding of the consequences of their choices, because they have no real guidance, and most of all, have not read real education into the real light of God. Sometimes what I am presenting sounds rather corny to most people, and I can see that, but the reality of where I am standing and can perceive is worth the ridicule I often get from others. For me, I know what is real, and as far out as it may all around sound, what I have written about is very real and wonderful, and can only be experienced one person at a time. There are great lessons that I am providing for those who take the time to test out and then discover all the various errors and areas of their self. Just like my education in the beginning, one must learn first of all where they are and what they are dealing with, and land the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge is ourselves, and not so much the outside world that has been fabricated from dirt, but the endless creativity and that really of what we are constantly deciding and moving ourselves into. Then comes the real education, one that is not found on the earth, but is always the true essence life is, which is always the nowness. So many people become confused by the literal education that they have seen conditioned with, which for the most part does not supersede the earth, but mainly applies to what has been created in a business sense. Religion and politics are the main businesses on the earth and have nothing to do with the real, true reality that is so far much too wonderful and perfect to be a part of anything that is not perfectly centered. It is so that the true reality supports everything, because all of us are in the same life. But it is positioned in a uniqueness unlike that of what those as the lower embodiments have decided. And so, as usual, the humans of the earth have become once again way over creative, which often has affected their outer environment, and most of all, their true understanding of the whole of life. It would seem that we are always moving from here to there, as this is how time and space represents itself in the bodily positions of the material spiritual realms. There can be no real understanding of the whole of life from the human consciousness without real guidance and real education, as those who try are merely using their literal sense with a scientific application of logic and reason, which is like a person blowing soap bubbles in the air. All these ideas, conceptions, and most imaginings belong to the psychic realms, as they do make a person feel good with what they have created. Everything has a real purpose, and to properly see it awakens the journey that is for each of us to become more aware to what is real now. As a person identifies the various parts of themselves, they will better understand and come to know a real purpose for themselves. This is important to each of us, as this is what your dream visions are always representing themselves as. Without constant contact to the other worlds and realities, then one is frozen to a one-dimensional resource that will disappear into the nothingness it came from. There are more hidden mysteries to ourselves that can ever be realized and revealed from the physical brain and mind. Until a person learns to perceive and separate their desired phenomena from a true actually reality, they are just groping in the dark. I think that's something that needs to be discussed. Tim?
Lots to talk about, all right. You were reading, Dwayne says, first, we have to find out where we are and what we're dealing with. Here in these psych realms, we're just beginning as new students to find out about, I guess, where we are. If we've decided to listen, to pay attention when we're being offered this opportunity, it's like the beginning. And what we're dealing with, here we are in these psych realms, and we're dealing with, well, I guess they're called aliens or reptilians, or as one of the controlling powers here on Earth using us as for their human farming, and how the real truth is coming from the all is, the real universes. It's not found on Earth, so it's only from the real guides that we're going to be able to get the real guidance and the real education, the great lessons that we need to get to the top of the mountain of the is, so we can see all and not be having to be in the prison anymore.